Cities explode outward.
Hello, Mr. Cruz.
Booze fuels a criminal underworld.
Wanna
Millions head north to escape
tell
poverty.
you about the age of progressivism.
Violence erupts.
First, we can start with the timeline
It's about to
on
become
the book.
the richest
obviously.
nation on earth.
In 1894, the National Municipal League formed to work for reform in cities.
We fight.
In 1900, Galveston, Texas, is first city to try commission form of government, and the same year was destroyed by
Our
a hurricane.
struggles will become a nation.
In 1901, Theodore Roosevelt becomes president after William McKinley's assassination. Robert M. La Follette elected reform governor of Wisconsin. Doctors recognized the American Medical Association, and the Socialist Party of America is organized. Yay, socialism! In 1902, Roosevelt sues Northern Securities Company for violation of Antitrust Act. Coal miners in northeastern Pennsylvania strike. Maryland is the first state to pass workers' compensation law. Oregon adopts the initiative and referendum. In 1904, Roosevelt wins the next election. Hey, in 1906, Hepburn Act strengthens Interstate Commerce Commission. Upton Sinclair attacks meat packing industry in the jungle. And Congress passes Meat Inspection Act and Pure Food and Drug Act. In 1908, Taft is elected president. Supreme Court upholds Oregon law limiting working hours for women in Mueller versus Oregon. Yay. In 1909, the Payne-Aldrich Tariff Act divides Republican Party. In 1910, Mann-Elkins Act passed to regulate railroads. Taft fires Gifford Pinchot, head of the U.S. Forest Service. Democrats sweep midterm elections. In 1912, Progressive Party formed. They nominate Roosevelt for president. Woodrow Wilson is elected president. In 1913, Underwood Tariff Act lowers rates. Federal Reserve Act reforms U.S. banking system. 16th Amendment authorized Congress to collect taxes on income. In 1914, Clayton Act strengthens antitrust legislation, and the same year World War I starts. In 1916, Wilson wins re-election by the slogan, "He kept us out of war." Funny, because in the next month we would join World War I. In 1918, Supreme Court strikes down federal law limiting child labor in Hammer versus Dagenhart. Also in the same year, World War I ends. Yay. In 1920, the 19th Amendment gave women the right to vote. Pretty much the age of progressivism starts in 1890. It goes through Grover Cleveland, William McKinley, Theodore Roosevelt, William Howard Taft, and Woodrow Wilson. It's a long age. Pretty much we don't really start with Grover Cleveland in the chapter. We start with Roosevelt, Theodore Roosevelt to be exact. Just so not to be confused with his cousin who becomes president in about 20 years or so.
In 1854, scientists in Pennsylvania
and during this time, we have the rise of professions, which, like doctors, lawyers, teachers, pretty much everyone now has a profession. Like before, you were just working in a factory. Now you got an education, you went to Harvard, you went to Princeton, you went to the University of Michigan, Michigan State, you went to the University of California, Berkeley, Irvine, San Francisco, any other city you can think of in California. You went to Texas colleges, went to Florida colleges, and you got an education, you made your parents happy, you got money, you could raise a family now, right? An 8-hour workday. Now you have an 8-hour workday. There's no children working in your profession, so you don't have to be squeezed out of a job. You actually have a job to keep. So as long as you live, because retirement really wasn't a thing then. So
their contract pays them to 1,200 feet.
The social justice movement, pretty much with kids. Not really, just like the children and the homeless and all that wonderful stuff. Yeah. Started with Alice Hamilton when she went to
6,000
When
die
she
in
went to the
oil
University of
explosions
Michigan
every
Medical
year.
School, went to Chicago, then moved to
Most
Chicago,
raids are
met with Jane
accredited
Addams,
fools,
moved into Hull House and
smashing
fixed
through
it up.
rock
Because I
by
guess
pounding
Jane
on
Addams
heavy
was
object on a
in
cable.
violation of some health codes
But
or
this is
something like
sand.
that.
You can't smash your way through sand.
Then we got the Purity
The
Crusade,
Hamills are
which is
gambling on
temperance, the
revolutionary
temperance
technology.
movement,
A
which
steam
women,
engine
men,
that drills
and
a
like
pipe through the ground.
annoying people
So far, it's been
wanted
able to
to
bore
purify
200 feet of sand and
America
rock with no collapses.
by pretty much getting rid of
But it's
alcohol,
600
and
feet.
we will with prohibition. Women's suffrage was a big hot topic during this time.
Disaster strikes.
Roosevelt didn't give a crap. Taft didn't give a crap. And Wilson didn't give a crap at
drill hits a
first,
pocket
but
of
after World
explosive
War
gas
One,
and
he was
water.
like, you know what? Give them the right to
The
vote.
pressure forces gas back up
And
through
also
the
with the
pipe.
NAACP, black people, African Americans, were trying to win rights. It doesn't really come along until the 60s. So. Then we have
They're lucky to survive.
many associations being formed. Then we have the Socialist Party
I
being
see a really
formed in
strong
America. And they
parallel
want
between
Socialist Party
the culture
wants
of
to fix
prospecting
America,
and the
wants to
culture of
bring it back to when it
and
was. It was pretty much the
do all your
first time we
surveys,
had
plan
a
it
Donald
out, you think
Trump
it's really great,
in
you dig
America.
down, and there's nothing there.
We got the
It's really
reform
hard
of
to
cities
predict.
and states. We got rid of slums.
Progress is slow.
We just pretty
We're
much
fighting for
reformed
every
the
foot.
cities. We built playgrounds. We built schools. We
The
made
sand is
America
too
what it
fine
was today.
even for
Pretty
their
much Donald Trump was bad.
The walls of the boreholes
Donald Trump's a
are starting
vampire.
to collapse.
Mr. Cruz, he is.
Normally,
Action in
these
the
kinds of rigs
states,
pump water
many
into the
reform
borehole to support
governors
the
were
walls.
elected, like in Michigan, Wisconsin,
sand is
Illinois.
too
Pretty
fine.
much the whole Midwest was
too thin.
reformed. Even though it is the biggest
need a
region in
ticker
the
liquor.
United States, it comprises of
They're
like
forced to
15
improvise.
states,
Using only material they have on hand.
and pretty much it was
Water.
reformed. Now we get to Roosevelt's time. Roosevelt was a
And cows.
Republican, obviously. We'll see that again.
We brought
A
in
long
a
time,
small
many
herd of cattle
Republicans.
and turned them loose in the nearby
What he's famous for is
Cattle
busting the
stomped
trusts,
around,
fighting
made
the
lots of
trust
mud
with the
for
Sherman
us.
Antitrust Act.
The answer
Many
to
of
all
them
their
have
problems
violated it,
is
and
mud.
he goes after them. Morgan,
With mud
Rockefeller,
holding up the walls of
and
the
those are
borehole,
really the only
they're
two.
back
He
on
never
track.
really goes after Carnegie, because I guess
From then
Carnegie was
on,
like,
we
hey, I was
operated the
poor
rig
once, I'm not
24
going to try
hours
to
a day.
destroy America because I'm rich,
Kurt's
so I'm just going to
innovation
leave that to
is
Morgan
still
and
in use
Rockefeller
today.
to get their asses
Only
beat.
now rigs use synthetic compounds.
See, Carnegie was looking out for us.
But drilling fluids like this are still
Then he
called
comes
mud.
with the square deal, which never really understood, which people
In
never really
January 10th,
understood.
1901,
But the square deal is literally a
the
square.
Hamills have been drilling
Of
for
the
over 2
many
months.
successes that Roosevelt
They're
did,
past 1,100 feet.
coalfields reforms, the meatpacking industry,
Another
the
100,
the
and they'll have to
forest
quit.
services. He takes on
Then,
pretty much a lot of people. He changes America, and a lot of
I
people love
walked
him
over
for it.
and looked
He
down the
regulates
hole.
railroads. He cleans up the food and drug. He cleans up food and drugs with. After reading The
I heard-
Jungle, which really
sort of heard
shocks
something
America
kind of
and
bubbling
him,
just
he
a
goes,
little bit,
"I'm gonna go after the
and
meatpacking
looked down
industry.
there.
I'm gonna go
And
after
here,
drugs,
this frothy
not
oil
like
was starting
cocaine
up.
and
It was just
alcohol, not
breathing,
cocaine and
you know,
marijuana
coming
and all
up,
those great
sinking
drugs,
back with
but
the gas pressure. And it kept coming up
like
and
drugs
over
like
the rotary
penicillin
table,
and aspirin
and
and
each
all them
flow
were
a little
wonderful
higher,
drugs
and a
that
little higher,
that could
and a
kill you
little
with overdose.
higher.
But he pretty much
this is a day
paves the way for
that
the
changes
FDA.
America forever.
He also has the Hepburn Act, which, while regulating the railroads, he passes the Hepburn Act, which strengthens the ICC, or the Interstate Commerce Commission.
Finally, it
Yay.
came up with such momentum that it just shot
He
up
conserves
clear
the
through
land
the
with
top of the
Gifford
derrick.
Pinchot, his Forest Service Secretary of the
The
Forest
geyser of
Services. There
crude
we go.
oil shoots
It pretty
almost
much
200
paves the way
feet
for the
into the air.
DNR of many
The
states,
Hamills
from
were hoping
Michigan,
for
from
50
Maine to
barrels a day.
California, and
The well would soon be pumping out over
he
80,000,
preserves
making the U.S. the largest
national
oil
parks
producer
like
in the world.
Yosemite, Mount Rainier. Like Yosemite,
Overnight,
Yellowstone.
the
He
backers funding the
saves
rig are
mountains
nearly
like
$40
Mount
million
Rainier.
richer.
He Theodore
The Hamills
Roosevelt, or Isle
become
Royal
legends.
in America and Michigan.
They are just
He saves
burst out of
Arcadia.
the
He
ground.
saves Mammoth
Spewed for
Cave.
days and
He
days
creates
before they
Smoky
could bring
Mountains
them
and
to
Hot Springs, just to name a
really
few. But
marked
there's
the beginning
many
of
he
the
saves.
golden age
By
in
the
the
time he
United
comes
States
into
on
office, there's
Earth in
45
2012.
million acres of land conserved by the United States government. When he leaves, pretty
Stable
much
crop changes
100
every day.
times more.
Oil production in the U.S.
It's like
instantly increases
195 million
50%.
more land million acres more of land that he saves. And thank you for him saving the Grand Canyon, saving Mount Rainier, Mount St. Helens, any other mountain or volcano or canyon or national park you can think of. You can thank our 26th president for it. And now, after conservation, he doesn't have enough time, he doesn't, and like the precedent always from George Washington, every president is going to be elected twice, except until FDR, which times. So,
one man will seize the opportunity in cheap oil
so
and
anyways,
change the face of the nation.
he handpicks his
Detroit,
successor, which
1908. Henry
is
Ford,
one of the worst
maverick,
presidents.
visionary,
Probably not,
obsessive.
but he's up there
A
with the
man
worst
with a bad
presidents. His name is
reputation.
William Howard Taft, and in the 4 years
Recently
he
let go
pretty
by the
much
company
just
that will soon become Cadillac. He launches his third
disregards
attempt to build
he
cars.
tries to add to
But
Roosevelt's
these
policies,
will be different.
but it never works. He alienates
There are only
the
8,000
progressives.
cars in the
He
U.S.
puts the
Expensive toys for the
Republicans in
wealthy,
insurgency.
like owning a
He
private jet
fires
today.
Gifford Pinchot.
There were dozens and
when
dozens of small companies
Pinchot
building cars
tells Taft
that were
not to
essentially
do something, and
playthings
he
for the
goes
rich.
and does
They were
it.
notoriously unreliable. They were not standardized.
He goes
they were
and does
hand-built,
it.
essentially.
Great English.
And if you were going to own a car, you
And
practically
Taft
had to have your
and
own
Gifford
mechanic
gets mad at him,
on
and Taft
staff as
fires
well to
him
keep
and
the thing
goes,
running.
that's what
Nobody's
how
figured
presidents
out
do.
how to make a car that's affordable
right.
and low cost.
And then, pretty much in
Henry
about 3
Ford
years, everyone's
is
like,
about
we
to
need
change that.
Roosevelt back. We really do.
It won't
And
just
so they
change
do.
how
They call
cars
upon
are made.
Roosevelt when he's in
It will
Italy,
change
visiting the king
how
and queen
everything
of
is made.
my home country.
Detroit,
And in the
1913.
election of
Henry
1912,
Ford isn't just making a revolutionary car.
Republicans are
He's making
split,
it
so
in a
Roosevelt goes
revolutionary
off
way.
and forms his own party called
production
the Bull
line.
Moose Party,
High volume, low
or
cost.
the Populist
Products
Party.
identical.
And Roosevelt promises a thing called the New Nationalism,
The man who places the part doesn't
pretty much
fasten it.
will,
The man who puts in a bolt doesn't put on
which
the
will
nut.
pretty much continue
man who puts on the
with
nut
his policies
doesn't
that he
tighten
did in his two terms
Work
in
is
office.
standardized,
Pretty much, if they
simplified.
get Roosevelt back, he'll be just
It's
the
a
same
more efficient
president.
way to
Everyone
make
will still love him. I mean, no one's going to get old
everything.
with Roosevelt.
Mass production sweeps the nation. And
But the Republican
changes
and
the
the Bull
world.
Moose Party split, and
To be an assembly
the
line worker, you
Democrats
did not have to have a
with
high
their
degree of
new
skill. You didn't
guy,
have to be a
Thomas Woodrow
card-carrying
Wilson.
machinist
Of course,
or
no one
whatever
wants
it
to go by
might be.
Thomas, so he
All you
drops
had to do
Thomas
was learn
and
how to
becomes
turn the
Woodrow
same
Wilson,
wrench on the
president
same
of
nut
Princeton and
5,000
president and
times a
governor
day,
of
and
New
that was your
Jersey,
job.
one of the worst states in the Union.
prices plummet. In 1913,
Only
a
president
Model
from New
T
Jersey,
cost
but
2
he's a
years'
great
wages.
president. He comes up with the
By
New Freedom, which is
1924,
his
it's
own.
just 3 months.
It's kind of like his own New Deal.
The Model
which,
T, without
course,
question,
like
is
FDR.
one of the single
You're
objects
welcome.
in the
But
history
besides
of America that
his New
changed
Freedom,
America.
he takes
What Henry Ford
policies
developed
from Roosevelt's
was
New
the car for
Nationalism,
the
which
common
actually
man.
paves the way for better.
The impact of this little
Good job.
car is massive.
He
300,000
passes
sold
the
in
Underwood
1913.
Underwood
By 1924,
Tariff Act.
there's a new Model T
It lowered
every
the tariff rates
24
about
seconds.
15% and removed duties from sugar, wool, and several other
Suddenly,
consumer
this
goods.
form of transportation,
In December
which was
1913,
entirely
Wilson
new,
passed the Federal Reserve
was something
Act.
that
Probably
people
not
could
the best
actually
act,
engage
but it
in.
actually
They could
stimulates
afford it.
the
It
economy,
wasn't like a
puts some money
spaceship
in the
where there are
economy.
only
He
several
pretty
of them
much,
and there are millions and millions of
being
dollars.
president of Princeton,
Washington
he
State,
helps the economy.
1915.
And the Clayton
The
Antitrust
Model
Act
T's
passed in
success is
1914
creating a
completed
nation of
Wilson's
student
initiative
drivers.
legislation program, in
Roscoe
freedom,
Scheller used to
which
be a
pretty
dairy
much,
farmer. He's about to start a new
like
job.
previous antitrust measures, it
Car
reflected confusion over how to discipline
pay
a
is
growing
fantastic.
economy without putting a
The only
brake on
problem is,
output. Like many
he can't
presidents in the
drive.
past, they put brakes on outputs.
You're not driving the horse.
First brake
Taking
was
it.
Jefferson,
His boss
the
offers
embargo
to
of
teach him the morning of
1807,
his first day at
blunder
work.
in his second term. Wilson moved, and then Wilson does move to
It's not long
to
before
the new
Roscoe has his
nationalism,
first
which
customers.
was Roosevelt's
Luckily, there's a manual
Roosevelt's
called How to Drive an Automobile.
New Deal, like his cousin.
Cranking is an art that's essential for the new
And
motorist to
he pretty
become
much
proficient in.
takes the
It is
attributes
always
from
a
New
good plan.
Nationalism,
It's a good
adds to
idea
his
to
New
learn
Freedom.
to
He, like,
steer first.
pretty much by the
Steering
end
is a
of his
very
second
simple
term,
manipulation.
he
An excellent plan for the beginning
abandons his
is
New
to find a
Freedom, and he's
long,
under the
straight,
New
and slightly
Nationalism.
downhill road.
And also, he pretty much leads us through World War
Roscoe
One,
takes his
even
customers for a test drive.
though
Most
we'll see in the
are
next
used to a
chapter,
horse
which
and
is
buggy.
World War One. Just a little
The majority of
backstory
first-time
is
drivers
when
completely
when
ignored
Wilson
corners.
comes into office, like the very next
Instead of
year,
using a brake, they shouted "whoa" at the
World
top of
War
their
One
lung
breaks
power.
out with after the assassination of our chief
Often
for
they
Oxford,
demand I teach his life, and every kid old enough to reach the pedals.
2 years later, April 6, 1917, is when Wilson declares as Congress to
America's
declare
love
war on
affair,
Germany.
the automobile, has begun.
The American
And,
has a great sense of
pretty much because the
freedom and not being
reasons
tied to
why
one
was,
place. If I don't
the
like it
sinking
here,
of
I'm
the
going to
Lusitania,
pack
which
everything
killed
in the car. They
128
don't require
Americans,
anybody's permission. They
Zimmerman
don't have to
telegram,
sign
which
out. And the automobile really
intelligence,
enables that.
British intelligence intercepted
When I came to America,
to us.
First thing I wanted
And
to
it was
know,
pretty
how
much
can I
Germany
get hold of a
asking
car?
Mexico,
I
asking
had a
President
love affair with
Veracruz
cars from the very beginning
invade
because this
Texas and
method
take
of
back the
movement
land
that can enable you to
Mexico
see
lost during the
vast
Mexican-American
expanse of
War.
space
Mexico
is something I
actually
never
told,
experienced in China.
sent us a message via
Never. This is
telegram
something I wanted to do almost more than
saying
anything
that
else is to
they're
buy
not
a
going to
car.
invade because
Roscoe Scheller
they don't
is
want
one of
trouble.
America's
Because
pioneer car dealers.
they were already having their own
Today,
trouble. They had Pancho
America
Villa
drives
running amok in
2.7
Mexico
trillion
and
miles
in the
a year.
southern
The
states of the
vehicles
United States.
are descendants of Henry Ford's Model T.
Kills Pancho Villa.
Cars.
Also,
By the roaring 20s,
so
they are transforming the lives of millions. Now you don't have to live near work.
which pretty much
Cities explode
when he told
outwards,
Germany not
creating
to,
giant
Germany
suburbs.
promised, but in the very next week they were
Brand
still
new
bombing
highways
our
are built.
ships. That we were
Shopping malls
giving
with giant
guns
car
to both
parks.
them and Britain
The biggest
via
urban
the
sprawl
Lend-Lease
of all,
Act.
Los Angeles, the center of a massive entertainment industry. 800 films produced a year in the 1920s, double
Well,
the
we were
amount
giving
today.
guns. We in both world wars. We were playing both sides. We were giving guns to the Nazis in
feverish
World War
land
II
grab
and our
is in full
allies
swing.
in World War One. We were both
High in
giving
the hills,
guns to
a real
Germany,
estate syndicate buys
and
500 acres.
Britain, France, and all
They
their
hire
wonderful
stonemasons
allies.
from Italy to build luxury mansions overlooking the
Also,
city.
so in 1917,
Dream
April
homes
6, we
fit for
pretty
oil
much
tycoons and film
declare
stars.
war on Germany. We destroy
To
Germany
kick off
within
their
a year.
investment,
And
the biggest
on the
advertising
11th
sign on the
hour,
planet,
on the 11th day of the 11th month,
4,000 light bulbs
oh, it is
announce the
11th
name of this luxury
11th hour,
development.
11th day, 11th month, 11th year, 11th
Hollywood
the
land.
18th year.
Movie director Busby
We're
Berkeley
Veterans Day, which
buys
will
the
become
first
known
house
as
on the plot.
Veterans Day. We
It's
pretty much
supposed to be a
America,
temporary
Britain,
sign.
France.
By
That's pretty much
1949,
it.
the end is
Signed the
removed.
Treaty of
It
Versailles.
becomes
And
just
actually,
Hollywood.
that's when because it was only the three of us. Wilson wanted to get
Built
his
on oil,
his fortune
fueled
points
by
fast,
cars
but no
and
one would
movies,
listen.
LA
Britain
is
and
the
France
fastest growing
because he
city in
wanted,
the world.
Wilson wanted
But none of this
Germany to not
incredible
be so
growth has been
reprimanded,
possible
but
without
Britain
one other
and
vital
no,
ingredient.
they destroyed half our land. We're going to reprimand them. And in 2010, they finally paid
Water.
off their reprimands, which cost some
William Mulholland, Irish immigrant,
$10 billion,
tenacious,
I think, something
ruthless.
like that. Something close to that. Maybe I'm wrong.
Superintendent of the LA City Water
Company.
Company.
And but during the
It's
meeting
1904.
at the Palace
LA
of Versailles,
is running out of water.
we actually weren't
It's headline
listening to
news.
any other country.
It's up
Italy
to
wanted
Mulholland to
land
find
that
it.
they lost,
His
and we
reputation
didn't
is on
listen.
the line.
And that's why Italy
The story
changed
of the
sides
West
again
is the
during
story
World
of
War
water.
II. That's why Mussolini
Because you
came
can't
to power,
turn
because Italy
this
wanted
region that
land.
has a fertile soil
Italy wanted its land back. That's why
and sites
it's not
for
like
city
Italy came to
development
power
without that incredibly scarce resource in the West.
during the 1930s. But it's kind of the
Southern California.
It's kind of the reason why
Rainfall as low as 2 inches a year.
And we
Temperatures
actually,
as high as
Japan was there, but we
134
weren't
degrees.
listening to Japan. Japan was like, guys, can
The
we
surrounding
have a
mountains
little
get
thing
plenty
to
of
say? And we're
rainfall.
like, no, Japan, shut up.
The
And
problem
Japan
is,
left during the
it
meeting,
stays
and
there.
that's why Imperial
LA
Japan
has
formed,
one
and
small
Japan
river.
hated us, and that's why they
It
bombed
provides
Pearl
a
Harbor.
fraction of the water the growing city will need.
Not yet.
California
So
is
yeah,
at the edge
that's
of the
the
Great
age
Western
of
Desert,
progressivism,
and in order for large
and it will
numbers of people
last
to live in
until
the
like
cities of California, means had to
Wilson
be
leaves
provided
office. When Wilson
to
dies,
get
when
the
Wilson
water
leaves
from
office,
where
and
it was
Harding
in the
comes into
California
office,
mountains to where the
because
people
the
were in the
economy is
cities.
shot now.
Mulholland must find
during
water.
the early 1920s,
The fate of Southern
there's gonna be a
California
full rundown
hangs in the balance.
This part. The 1920s actually didn't really start roaring.
His
until
search begins
Calvin
just
Coolidge.
outside the city.
When Harding dies in 1923 due
Nothing.
to a heart attack,
He moves 200 miles northeast.
That's pretty much it.
Still
The
nothing.
1920s, the early 1920s were actually a bad time. Recession, communist
Finally,
Red Scares.
he reaches an area called Owens Valley.
Yeah.
It's perfect. Water flowing out of the mountains has formed a massive
There
lake.
you go, Mr. Cruz. That's the age of
110 square
progressivism. My name
miles.
is Mr.
Result,
My name is Antonio.
an oasis of lush farmland. Locals
I
call
hope
it the
you
Switzerland
heard
of
what I was
California.
listening to. I hope you did. If not,
Aided only
here's a
by
little part
gravity,
of it.
this water could flow all the way to Los Angeles.
Yeah,
All
that's
you
it.
need